Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, the M07 concept. Now this is an amazing fun little RC to drive. At the minute we've got it driving pretty good, but I have the OP1757. These are the M07 concept stabilizer bars for front and rear. So we're going to fit this to it and see if we can get a bit more or a bit less body roll and a bit more grip on corners. It's the only thing it seems to be struggling with at the minute. The tyre choice seems good. The gearing we've got perfect for this quite small, tight track. But I'm going to see if we can get even more improvements at handling out of it with the stabiliser kits. So, bring you in for a close-up look. Let's see how easy or difficult it is to fit these things. Right, so this is what we're going to get in kit. You've got a choice of weaker or stronger torsion bars or sway bars. So the blue ones are the strongest, and we've got 6 of the little grub screws and all the rest of the attachments and a whole bunch of these little links. I believe they are the ones that go down to suspension arm, but first we're going to need to build these up. So I think because I've been running with no torsion bars, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is build it up with the thinner of the torsion bars just to see, and then we can also always move to thicker ones if we need it. So first thing we're going to need to do is get these all assembled. So I'm going to start with the front one and see how we go. So first thing we're going to do is go for the front one. So we're going to get 2 of these. I'm basically just going to want to screw these in. For these you're going to need the 2mm hex drive, and then we're aiming for a 32mm distance between both the top and bottom. And if you can hear any beeping or sounds in background, we've actually got the batteries on charge for this for tonight, so I'll have to apologise for any crazy fan noise or beeping that we've got going on. Right, so once we get these down to exactly 32mm, so that's one built up, we just need to build the other one up exactly the same. Right, the shorter of these sets is for the front, I believe. So we're going to slide one of these tiny little collars on, and then you're going to want a 1.5mm driver. Now curiously it doesn't tell us to thread lock this, but it says we need to put this centrally. And tighten it from the, leave the grub screw facing upwards. Not sure if we can adjust that when it's in the car. Then we're going to get 2 of these, and it says we need these leaving facing outwards. And then also a tiny little grub screw on each one of these. These are fiddly little things. And for these it's telling us to leave it facing outwards and just a 1mm gap on the end. So we've got one facing up, one facing out, and we just need to get the final one on. And to be fair, they're not really bad instructions, these. So again, I'm going to try and get it facing outwards and just a 1mm gap on the end. So once we've got that all assembled with this 1mm gap each end, we then just need to screw 2 of these on. And these are usually a lot easier than the ones that go on tie rods for some reason. Now it says for this you're going to want these facing straight up and down. So that's what we should end up with. 2 of these built to 32mm, 1mm sticking out on end of each one of these, and then that assembled like that. So let's bring in the RC and see what kind of job it is to drop this in. So, looks like a pretty straightforward job. It's telling us we need to remove these two, this one and these bottom two. So, let's get these removed. And offhand, I can't remember if these are all the same length screws. So we'll just try and keep them in some kind of order. I know the top two are machine thread. I'm not sure if this third one is. Yep, so it looks like all three of them are the same. Let's just check these bottom two. They do feel like they fine thread. Yeah, they do look like the same length. So nothing too difficult on it so far. So that will allow us to lift it up. And I think I can just about see where we drop this into. So we've got to get it under them, and then there should be a couple of little slots in there. Definitely be easier if you remove the shocks, but you don't need to remove the shocks. So all you've got to do is get both these arms to go above the drive shafts, and then we've got to get that to sit down inside that recess. So it looks like it's gone in pretty well. That's where it has to actually go. So once you've got that into position, should be able to just fasten this back down. So get this centre screw in first. So it does actually look like we've got a nice opening where we can get to the sway bar grub screw. So we just need to drop these two final screws in. So when you're dropping this together, just make sure you push this down all the way. And then you'll be able to get your front two screws to go in properly. And just remember, these are quite fine thread, so you don't need to go crazy overboard tightening these up, or else you will strip the threads out. And when I was doing the build for this, I did put the grub screws in. So all we need to do with this is just slightly snug these grub screws down. I usually do it just until I feel it grabbing. You just don't want these to be restricting the movement of the roll bar at all. It's just to take the play out of it. So once we've got them in, then we've got these with the rounded side to the outside. So we're going to have to clip these onto the bottom of the suspension arms. And then all that's left to do is line these up with the top of the roll bar. And there we go, that's one in. Then again, rounded part to the outside. And then we need to line the top up and just clip this one down. And there we go. So that's the front anti-roll bar. Don't forget to tighten your little grub screws up, and you can get to the grub screw in the middle. So let's see what entails doing the rear, see if that's any different. So onto the rear, and for this one we've got to make two of these up to 24mm. So these are the sort of shorter ball studs but longer sort of ball joints that we're putting on, and these need to be 24mm. So looks like it's going to be almost fully screwed down to get 24mm. So I think on these you're going to be safe to screw them all the way down to where the threads actually stop. Doesn't look like there's going to be any issue with them. They don't bottom out on the threads, but it is asking for 24mm, and that does look like it's where the threads are all the way down. So once we've got that done, we're then going to need again this sort of center locking piece. So you want a small grub screw in this, and it is asking for it to be left facing upwards. Then we're going to want one of these on either side, and these need to be faced outwards with a 1mm gap. And we have more batteries beeping their head off at us. So once we've got that assembled, this up, facing out on both sides, then we just need to screw two of these into place, and again these are facing completely upright, and again I've gone for the softer springs, and this is just to try it because we're going from no sway bars or anti-roll bars to having anti-roll bars. So you should be left with the two blue anti-roll bars, two of these longer ends, two of the short ones. So let's bring the RC back and see what it's like to fit the rear one. So moving along to fitting the rear anti-roll bar. So for this one, looks like only 4 screws to be removed. So we're looking at removing these two and these two. So let's see if we can get these screws out. So that's the first 2 removed. And that's the last screw removed. And again, same as the front, I've actually got the little grub screws already fitted because I put them in from my actual from my build. So we want to pass this through and then under the links, and then you want to try and get it central. Then when we pass this back over, should then be able to line it up with the slot in the middle, so you can actually get to the grub screw to tighten it up or loosen it if you need. And then it's just a case of popping these 4 screws back in. So we get that one started, and we got the 2 front ones, and again much the same as the front, these are all the same length. So we'll get them 4 tightened up and then carry on. Right, so now we've got all 4 screws back in, then we just need to get these clipped on the bottom. Now these are proper fiddly little things, and depending on what the actual length of your chassis you built it to, this is probably where we're going to have to adjust the sway bar to get it to fit right. But let's have a look, let's see how these links fit. Right, so that's the link on, and even though I'm running the longer chassis sort of setup, doesn't seem like there's a problem. So let's try and get this one on. So we've got the bottom on, let's see if we can get the top to clip in. Yep, so that's clipped in. I think the only thing that I'm gonna have a look at is see if we can, yeah, we can take them in a good bit if I can get it to let go of my Allen key. So if you go off the instructions, it looks like for the running length that I run, it's a little bit on the long side, so I think you're better off putting them as far in as you can. Just gives them a better angle. But yeah, we now have front and rear anti-roll bars. You can get to adjust them, so all we need to do is tighten down the little grub screws, and you just want it to take the play out of the sway bar, so we're not looking to pinch it and stop it moving. You just want to eliminate any up and down movement. A little bit of movement is fine, but it does stop the anti-roll bar sort of twisting around everywhere. But yeah, that's the anti-roll bar kit fitted. It does look quite nice, it fits well, so we shall take it tonight and run it and see if it makes any difference. But let's wrap this one up. So there we have it, the Tamiya OP1757 anti-roll bar or sway bar kit, front and rear, fitted to the Tamiya M07. As I say, I've been having a lot of fun racing this little thing, and I would say this is an easier car to get to grips with than the TT02s, so if you are looking at getting into racing, certainly one of the chassis that I would consider. It seems more race orientated, but also depends on what classes you've got racing at your local track, so it's always better to go with something that you can easily race locally. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.